Hello, my name is Asha Samput and thank you for joining me for this new edition of Business Africa from Dakar in Senegal. And this week again you can win $150 by participating in our quiz on Business Africa, your magazine dedicated to the continent's business and economic news. Well, more details later, but first, today's top stories. African intercontinental trade. Congolese producers have decided to overcome their fears when it comes to external competition.
We really must work hard. Free trade will be helpful for us if we develop these industries and we start exporting manufactured products or finished products.
Healthy animals and regular income. This could be the motto of these herders in Zambia.
The reporting system has become very efficient now. Sometimes, if there is an emergency, I might not meet my boss there and then to report the issue. But with this one, wherever he is, he'll get the report.
Palms and fish. Gabon's solution to give its population a new nutritional and financial resource.
L'aquaculture pourrait donc apporter, combler ce gap, d'où l'intérêt qui a été recherché d'amener ces personnes de voir dans ces pays comment l'activité se fait et quels sont les niveaux de production.
In Kinshasa, the DRC's membership in the African Continental Free Trade Zone, the AFCFTA, is not to everyone's liking. While some see it as an opportunity for the country to open up, small producers see it above all as a threat. They fear that the Congolese economy is simply not ready to fight external competition. To understand this reluctance, our journalist Francine Mokoko went to the Loa chocolate factory. This family business recently started producing chocolate with cocoa from the eastern province of Walikale and a few locally made machines. Francine has the story. This cocoa from Walikale usually goes through the huller. But in the absence of one, Chocolaterie Loa works with these women instead. But still insufficient female hands given the quantity of production. If they have not yet found the formula to make a huller locally, Steve and his team have already achieved the feat of setting up a roaster on site to dry the cacao and another machine to extract the cacao butter by pressing the cacao beans paste.
Once we're able to develop our own machines, it will be a question of improving them with Congolese engineers. We can do it and have machines that are adapted to our local conditions. So it's possible to create our own technology that works.
After that, Steve and his associates make their way to the other corner of the family factory. In these juxtaposed pieces, the cocoa follows its transformation process. Once mixed with other ingredients known as the shaping stage, the chocolate is cooled and then wrapped. The Loa chocolate factory operates in a context of competition with the opening of the DRC to the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AFCFTA. Confronting this competition is no easy task for this chocolate factory.
Right now, production is not huge. It's a bit more than 200 kilos of chocolate a month. So we really must work hard. Free trade will be helpful for us if we develop these industries and we start exporting manufactured products or finished products. If there's no change, it will always be import products and export raw materials.
Although chocolate has become a centerpiece of the business, the idea of making chocolate did not come from Steve. It actually came from his father, Alexei, who spent his life in the coffee and cacao plantations. And he calls for support from the Congolese state to help local producers cope.
The state must support us. They must help us by building roads, reducing taxes and supporting us small producers. It's small producers who can benefit from free trade because we have the space, we have the production and then also the clients here in Congo. We can sell our products to the Congolese without having to sell abroad.
The opening of the DRC to the economic free trade zone has worried local producers, especially the Lower Chocolate Factory, which fears unfair competition. But for the leaders, the DRC must be part of the AFCFTA, despite the difficulties, but at the same time work to boost its economy.
If a country feels it's not ready to implement the whole agreement, I mean the entire agreement, it can delay adopting certain clauses. We've allowed each country 10 years to prepare, and at the end of the 10-year period, the country will decide whether it wants to remain in the agreement or not. We can't work in a vacuum. We're not dictators, after all. We are one country on a continent, and we are one continent in the world, a changing world. So we, as a country, have to fit in with the changes that are shaking up the world. There's nothing we can do about it.
For this economist, the Congolese economy is not totally destitute. The country has assets to compete with other nations on the continent. To do this, it is necessary that the authorities carry out certain reforms in order to put the country on par with other African economies in the competition within the AFCFTA.
L'économie congolaise n'est pas.
The Congolese economy is not completely weakened, but there are a certain number of goods that are made elsewhere.
Qui sont fabriqués ailleurs. Il suffit seulement que les autorités puissent aussi rencontrer le besoin.
We need the authorities to help with the economy, in particular the financial aspects. Actions need to be accounted for, otherwise the consequences are far more drastic in a free-for-all where the budget is not kept to.
One thing is sure, with this entry of the DRC to the AFCFTA, it could be the beginning of a hurdle race for the Congolese producers. Adding value to African products, accelerating intercontinental trade, these are precisely the two main directives that the Secretariat of the African Free Trade Area has just given to African producers. The strategy is supported by the African Development Bank, which wants to accelerate the industrialization of the continent. To do this, the priority is to focus on the production of consumer goods and to discourage imports. Important to point out that currently intra-African trade represents only 20% of trade on the continent. Well, it is a major scandal that is hard to ignore. The Platform for the Protection of Whistleblowers in Africa has released an investigation looking into 3.5 million documents from the DRC. These documents would prove that a private Pan-African bank was used to divert $138 million in public fund to a group of people close to the family members of former President Joseph Kabila. Owners of cobalt mines have also reportedly made payments to the former head of state's clan through this financial institution. It's worth mentioning that the Congo is the world's largest deposit of cobalt and nickel, key components in the electric vehicle revolution. Let's head for Zambia for a second report. In this country located in the heart of southern Africa, herding is one of the main activities of the inhabitants. To face the epidemics which decimate the herds, only one strategy: closely monitoring the health of the animals, even if it means spending part of their income. A report by Peter Yumi and Aurélie Turc.
Generations of smallholder farmers have tended their cattle in the rolling hills of Zambia's southern province. Simon Hilwindi's herd counts 110 animals, a large number by national standards, and today he's showing veterinary assistant Lilian Makosa his herd of cattle. Simon remembers the last serious foot and mouth disease outbreak in the region almost 10 years ago.
By that time I have 70 animals, and out of 70, 30 were dead. By that time I had lost a lot of money. I had lost 750,000 to control the problems, the diseases.
The equivalent today of hundreds of dollars. Today, he says, things are much better. He's benefited from a much improved animal health control system, due in large part to an internationally funded project. Foot and mouth diseases cause economic havoc. Almost 8 million cattle throughout the African continent were infected as recently as 2008. Estimates put the cost of that outbreak at over $15 million.
We struggled for a month. We did minimal production. It was very difficult to just pay wages.
Now, however, thanks in large measure to a 5-year, $20 million plus program, largely funded by the African Development Bank, the disease is much closer to being brought under control. Using digital pen technology, vet Lilian Makosa can alert the regional animal health authorities almost instantly if there's a new case of foot and mouth or any other bovine disease. Paired to a cell phone, the device can provide real-time information.
The reporting system has become very efficient now. Sometimes, if there is an emergency, I might not meet my boss there and then to report the issue. But with this one, wherever he is, he'll get the report.
Not just Zambia, but 4 neighboring countries have also benefited from the ADB's Transboundary Animal Health Project, which aimed to improve not just the health of the region's livestock, but also the nation's cattle exports. All 5 countries have in the past failed to meet several livestock safety standards for such export markets as the European Union. Diseases respect no borders, and an outbreak in one nation can easily spread among herds and wildlife in neighboring countries. Wild buffalo are often carriers of diseases and remain a threat to domestic livestock.
The African Development Bank, through the SADC-TADZA project, has been very instrumental in helping Zambia in a number of ways. One, which top of the list, is a buffalo sampling exercise. The sampling was done, the viruses have been identified, and right now the strains have been identified and they've been profiled, and that information has been alleged to the laboratories that produce vaccines.
The 3-year program to capture and examine the buffalo cost well over $1 million. The Transboundary Animal Disease Project brought neighboring countries' control and surveillance methods into line, and according to Zambian officials, has had a 70% success rate in stamping out the incidence of foot and mouth disease.
There's been the skills transfer from the expertise that came from outside that the bank hired to do the capture. Local people have since been trained in buffalo capture. So the benefit to Zambia is in excess of over $1 million in terms of the money that was spent, but also the human capital that has been recreated by the virtue of the training that was done.
The revenue of farmers doubled. The live stock value chain was secured in terms of job creation and flux of live animals to the abattoirs and to the market, to the suppliers, and also to the consumer. In terms of trade regionally, some indications are about 10 to 15% increase as a result of the intervention of this project.
It's an export market that potentially is worth over $40 million to Zambia. And consumer confidence in the safety and quality of the meat available from abattoirs has also been helped.
We were able to increase production by about 30%. And hence, since we increased production, we were able to move forward, to expand. We were able to open a new processing plant. Gave 60 people new jobs.
120 people now work at the Best Beef Company. And Trevor Kalidis says he's optimistic, so long as the diseases continue to be brought under control. Infected animals also produce substantially less milk. A clean bill of health is good news, therefore, for the St. Mary's Dairy Cooperative in the Monze district in the southwest of Zambia.
After 2 years, we increased 1,500, it was one day. This time, we are getting double. So we opened a new center, as you can see. So this time we are producing 3,000 liters in a day.
The new cooperative was a boon to smallhold farmer Elina Mwinga.
I can get here in just 2 hours now. Before I used to have to travel a day to sell my milk. I make 70% more these days. The extra money means I can pay for schooling and meet any medical bills.
With a handicapped daughter and several other children to care for, Elina says every penny counts. And every dollar has counted as the hunt for vaccines against specific diseases has been pursued in the laboratories as well.
Here I'm just preparing the sample, extracting DNA, manually.
But the samples need to be analysed and the vaccine developed, and here too there was money made available, allowing researchers not only to identify the origins of the disease, but also to speed up the process.
Conventional diagnosis
took 3, 4, 5, 1 week, more days to give the results to the farmer. But this molecular diagnosis gives the results to the farmer at a very quick time. So it's very reliable and very good.
Over $500,000 went towards computers, software and the necessary skills training. Jasbin Hibajin is typical of livestock farmers in the Monze district. He owns 40 cattle and spends about 10% of his income, about $25, on having his animals vaccinated. With a growing family, he knows his livelihood depends on the health of his livestock. If his cattle remain free from disease, he'll be able to sell them and reinvest. Jasbin Hibajina, Elina Mawinga and hundreds of other smallhold farmers across southern Africa know the future can never be guaranteed. But with the continuing support of the researchers, the scientists and the veterinarians in the field, their chances of success have never been higher.
When lost, explore. When blocked, innovate. When all is closed, build. In a time of recession, accelerate. Now is the time to find opportunities, to come together and curate new deals, track investments and close deals.
Let the transactions begin.
Join us at the 2021 African Investment Forum and invest in Africa's future. Build back boldly, better, greener and faster.
Welcome to the second part of Business Africa. Is this the end of post-COVID financial facilities? One thing is sure, the conditions for access to credit are tightening in Africa. In the face of US currency restrictions, South Africa has announced an interest rate hike. The key rate will thus increase from 3.5 to 3.75%. Neighboring countries Namibia and Lesotho could follow suit. In the region, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe and Angola have also raised interest rates in recent months. And we remain on the economic front. Ghana has announced its intention to find alternatives to government borrowing in international markets. The Accra government is looking to borrow $750 million in 2022. But its fiscal deficit makes interest in international markets too high. Finance Minister Charles Adu-Buanan said the country will therefore turn away from bonds and borrow through syndicated loans contracted with several financial organizations. A hostile environment, but also a viable return of $1.2 for each invested dollar. The Sahel harbors surprises for investors interested in land restoration. This is according to a report by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO, on the Great Green Wall. According to field and satellite data, the work of the populations in this 8,000-kilometer-long Sahelian zone has already resulted in resistant tree plantations on 4 million of the 100 million targeted hectares. And let's not forget that 38 of the 54 African countries are in fact coastal states, and that fishing provides an activity for more than 10 million Africans. But activities such as illegal fishing have led to overexploitation of fishery resources in waters that are among the most abundant in the world. Gabon decided to seize the challenge by embarking on fish farming. Take a look.
With over 800 kilometers of coastline and extensive inland waterways, the Central African nation of Gabon would appear to have all the natural resources to make fishing one of its major industries. But it's only in the past decade or so that the country has taken on the challenge to make fish, and in particular fish farming, an attractive and profitable business.
Nous avons 10 étangs. En termes de superficie, ça représente 4400 mètres carrés et il reste encore 6000 à créer. Nous avons bénéficié de l'opportunité offerte par l'État gabonais et la BAD. Et nous avons fait une visite, un voyage d'études au Nigeria et au Bénin, ce qui nous a permis de voir comment font les autres pour que nous puissions adapter ça chez nous.
With an average consumption of 25 to 30 kilos of fish per head per annum in Gabon, the gap between what used to be produced locally and imports was substantial.
L'aquaculture pourrait donc apporter, donc combler ce gap, d'où l'intérêt qui a été recherché d'amener ces personnes de voir dans ces pays comment l'activité se fait et quels sont les niveaux de production.
Christian Okui wears the uniform of the so-called fish police, employed by the country's National Agriculture and Fish Agency, and also benefiting from the African Development Bank's support to provide training and expertise from fish feeding to fish breeding. Martial Ntutume has sold some 35 kilos of red mullet and is wrapping up for the day. He recollects his humble beginnings as a fisherman a decade earlier.
J'ai commencé d'abord à la rame, c'est-à-dire sans moteur, sans filet. Au fur et à mesure que j'ai commencé à acheter mon matériel, j'ai acheté 4 chevaux, après les 4 chevaux, les 8 chevaux, après les 8 chevaux, les 15.
Tonight's meal at home with his family of 6. Fish, of course, prepared by Marshall's wife. On the coast at Port-Gentil, the variety of fish in the market is remarkable. Fishing associations and trawler companies received financial backing for equipment and material, help that has trickled down to the dozens of fishermen who set off in their smaller boats onto Gabon's rich waters.
La pisciculture, je suis là-dedans par passion.
Valentin Lassangoye began his fish farming project in Andem in 2013. At the time, there was nothing here other than trees and brush.
Nous avons 21 bassins pour une superficie d'eau de l'ordre de 6121 mètres carrés. Les spéculations exploitées sur le site sont le tilapia principalement, le silure.
For retirees such as Joseph Mayong or entrepreneurs such as Valentin Lassangoye, success means a secure future and employment opportunities for young locals eager to learn more about the potential of the fishing industry, whether it's on the sea or on land.
Le jour que nous aurons atteint nos objectifs de remplir tous les bassins, c'est-à-dire de produire 14 tonnes 2 fois ou pendant 2 cycles, je crois que nous pourrons gagner beaucoup d'argent. Je suis certain. Je n'ai peut-être pas envie de dévoiler un secret, mais j'ai envie d'en faire un site même touristique, que j'ai bien envie d'emménager, mettre un petit hôtel, mettre un restaurant où les gens viendraient manger du poisson frais.
And it's now time to reward our loyal viewers of Business Africa. It's up to you to answer to the following questions. If you're drawn among those who have given the correct answers, you will win $150. This is the game number 564. So listen carefully to the 2 questions that follow and good luck. First question, what does the family business Lowa produce in DRC? Candles, cleaning supplies or chocolate? Second question, how many heads can you count in Simon Hilwindy's cattle herd in Zambia? 520, 110, 340. You know the answers. You can participate now by going to our website africaonair.com, answer the questions, fill out your form, and good luck. And of course, don't forget to include your contact details, name, address, telephone, email, and the number of the game you are entering with the answers, of course. This game, for example, is game number 564. Check out the terms and conditions in the replay section on our news website, africaonair.com. The winner will receive $150 as our winner this week. Congratulations, you gave the correct answers to our game number 563. Here are the details. First question, when was the Ghana Innovation Hub created? The answer, 2019. Second question, who started the Friday climate strikes in Kampala? Answer, Vanessa Nakati. Well, that's it. Business Africa is over for today. I'll see you next week, same time, same channel, for a new edition of Initiative Africa. We will speak to Nigerian filmmaker Femi Adugbemi. In the meantime, you can watch this program again on our news website, africaonair.com, as well as on all our social media channels. Feel free to share, like and comment using the hashtag Business Africa. Take care of yourselves and see you next week. Goodbye.